Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. Good afternoon, General Narayan sir. Welcome to the show. Firstly, पहले आपको good afternoon कर देते हैं. उसके बाद let's see आपका क्या है.
Thank you, Adi. Thank you. Always a pleasure to be on your show.
Sir,
And
thank you
we
so
get
much.
such wonderful uh, questions from the people who watch the show.
Indeed, sir. Indeed, I'm grateful to.
And congratulations, you have gone beyond 15,000 now. Let's
Yes.
hope it keeps increasing more and more and you get more than 1 million views.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I mean, million. Wow, that
Welcome.
opened my eyes on a
Yes.
Saturday afternoon. Sir, what I want to discuss, of course, the second, the two sessions has happened. I'm, I don't know why am I saying second session, but two sessions have happened, and of course we'll discuss that. But I think Xi Jinping is worried about internal threats because all they keep talking about is security, 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 security. Economy नहीं बात करते sir, security बोलते रहते. They keep on talking about security again and again. And the primary focus of Xi Jinping has always been security, sir. What's happening here, sir?
Because he has ruffled a lot of feathers and his anti-corruption project has now been seen by the common man also to sideline his competitors, which doesn't seem to have gone too well. So he needs to control. But the Communist Party always has had this issue that when you look at their budget expenditure, whatever be their budget, they combine their defense and foreign policy together. If you combine, it will come to about 5.7 something. Defense is around 5 because foreign policy has not been given that independent wings that it needs to fly. It's not that independent as yet. But internal security has always been between 5.5 and 6.
Hmm.
So that tells you the balance. It has always been, but this man is worried. See, he has pushed the envelope. He's taken a third term, and the economy, which was sinking, is on a downslide, quite steep, and there are no jobs. People are migrating back from the urban to rural area. And when we look at the COVID protests which happened, it was not just the lockdown protest, it was protest against Xi Jinping himself. Okay. So it is obvious that he will always keep laying stress on internal security. He knows India will not attack.
Hmm.
He knows unless he pushes the envelope uh, in along his eastern seaboard beyond what Americans will tolerate, something will not happen. It is for him to instigate something. Only then something will happen. So, what is left? How does he secure himself for life? Internal security. I'm not surprised.
That's keyword. That's a keyword, sir. I mean, but it's quite interesting the kind of stuff which is coming out of the two sessions. So it's not something which you commonly hear. So let's do one thing, sir. We've got some slides
Yeah,
together, and the
yes.
line of thought
We'll
and
go
everything
through.
like that. Let's go through it. We'll discuss as it goes. Guys, let's begin with our little PPT. So, there are quite a bit of slides, so we won't spend too much time on each slide. We'll run through them and then we'll take General Sir's overall opinion as to what do we see actually happening in that area. So, internal threats to Xi Jinping, sir. Sir, why is he scared, sir?
See, his biggest problem is, like I mentioned, his economy is gone. It actually gone to dumps today, to be frank. And when you look at the actions that he has taken, forget now he has taken internal security completely under his control. There is no state control on that. It's taken out from state. It's directly under the CMC.
CMC.
He's even created a financial commission which looks at the running of the banks, and he controls that. Science and technology, whatever is required for his surveillance and for the military, he has taken control of that. And there is no entity in the government which is not directly under him. Now the state has become defunct. Actually, I really don't know what the premier is going to do today. COVID, has he won it? It's still an open question. Food security is a big problem. As it is, his economy is going down. He's food dependent. He's not independent. He's not fully secure. And because of the Russia-Ukraine war, the cost of food grains has just shot up. His population is declining. Okay, but his bigger factor is what he saw in the COVID protests. It's not like Tiananmen protest where it was at one place. It was in
Ah.
multiple cities all over. It was virtually almost on in all cities all over China, big cities.
He just spurted up, sir.
Yeah, and one counts at 43. I'm sure it must be much, much more. But
Much, much
that is
more.
a concern. And if all those people gang up and then come and attack the place where the seat of power, which is in the Red Square, what happens? If that along with all the cities happens, then what do you do? And he's looking at what happened in January 6th, the Capitol Hill attack, the way the anti-hijab protests has gone all over Iran. The Belarus they had attempted, and there is one, I might add, ongoing one
Georgia.
which is going on in Georgia. So those are his concerns. And people, are very smart. They have tech savvy, the young generation in China. They are able to circumvent all these, you can say, the checks which are there on not connecting to the Google and other international media, but they are circumventing and doing it. So that is why he's scared that ठीक है ले तो लिया है, what happens
Now what?
now? What?
That
See,
is
the
interesting.
covenant with the people was always that you will not look at why CPC alone should rule. We will provide you economic benefit. Now that economic benefit is gone. It's actually gone. So what do you do?
Hmm. Hmm.
The only thing you can do is be like Mao. So I feel what he is doing is it's his version of the color revolution, or not the color revolution, the cultural revolution that Mao had. Sad times for China,
Hmm.
difficult times.
This is an interesting statement, sir.
Well, CPC has never been accountable. Was anybody able to do anything to Mao with the disastrous Great Leap Forward and his cultural revolution? What happened? They waited till he died.
I mean, he was about to lose power in 62, but then he attacked India.
Yeah, and he defeated India, and rest they say is history. So, and nobody did anything. He himself, she himself is a product of the cultural revolution.
Gee.
When he was father was purged and they were sent away, and there are reports that BBC claims that he stayed in caves. I don't know, but yes, suddenly from the seat of power, if you're removed and thrown away, and none of your friends want to relate to you because your father has been thrown out from power, you can imagine the psychological scars. His mother denounced her father so that she could protect their daughters. So look at a young teenager, impressionable age, 14, 15 years, he goes through this. There are two ways you can go. I'd said earlier in also one of my talks when I was talking about Chinese history in your channel. Either you try that if I come to power, I will not do this, or you will say that this is what happened. So anybody who comes against me, I will be worse than what happened.
Yeah, either you don't do it or you become the best at doing the wrong thing.
And yeah, he has taken the other route. माओ ने कल्चरल रेवोल्यूशन किया था परजिस के लिए, इसने एंटी करप्शन ड्राइव किया करप्शन के, बट वो
14
पर्ज
billion
कर रहा है.
people, sir.
Yeah,
14
he's
billion
purged
people have.
anybody who he even thought is against me, anybody who supported something that nahi wo galat kar raha is gone.
Hmm.
The classic case was Hu Jintao, how he was evicted from the Great Hall.
This is, sir, unprecedented pressures from an increasingly fraught international environment.
International environment, so all countries are facing.
Hmm.
Okay. Now he is trying to blame everything on external environment. यार खुद को भी तो, the path for correction is once you accept that there has been an error. If you don't accept that I have been wrong, then you blame everybody else, and that is what it is. International environment, traditional and non-traditional threats. India is no threat to you. तो आपने क्यों छेड़ा फिर? Why have you tried to do something on the border? Who asked you? Their own people are questioning him
Hmm.
on the social media, right? Now, nobody is saying anything to Taiwan. ठीक है, कोई आया गया, that's a different issue. Does that mean that you keep reacting to that? How many times he has interfered in Senkaku Islands? Flying planes, standoffs in Scarborough Shoal. So who's
Yes.
creating this environment? You are creating. And you expect that the only big power in this world is not going to respond? He will respond to show you your place. And then you claim कि यार बाहर का प्रेशर आ रहा है. यार, अपने अंदर झांक के पहले तो देखो. See, our teaching also says that when you point a finger at somebody, there are three fingers which point towards yourself. First, look 3 times in yourself. कहीं तुम तो गलती नहीं कर रहे हो. This is the classic case, though Chidambaram and now our famous RBI governor also claims it at Hindu rate of growth. Sorry, that was not Hindu rate of growth. Current is the Hindu rate of growth because you're saying that it is the Hindu nationalist right which is ruling. So this is the Hindu rate of growth. What was that? That was a secular socialist rate of growth, because it was the Congress government during emergency under Indira Gandhi brought the word secular and socialist in our constitution. So that was your socialist secular rate of growth. This is the actual Hindu rate of growth, because you claim that they are Hindu right wing nationalists. So if the economy is rising under them, then this should be the Hindu rate of growth, not that. That is secular socialist rate of growth. And you paid the penalty in 91 for that. They've created a national security strategy, but they've created a national security commission which reports directly to Xi
Xi
Jinping.
Jinping. Hmm.
That was the background to getting all the uh, internal security which was part of the state. State means unka premier and the provincial governments. It's all been removed. It comes directly under the CMC now. So Mao's word, power flows from the barrel of the gun. So he's doing that for China. Forget others. Abhi to it is him, because his Tianzia is to control everything under the heaven in China.
Mark, guys listening in, mark that word, under the heaven. And this heaven concept, sir, will explain as we go forward, because
Yeah,
there is a lot of meaning to it. So we'll keep that on hold right now and move forward.
yeah. Pin
That's
it.
that.
We'll come to that later to
We'll
the
come to that.
statement somebody made.
So, heaven, please understand, when Chinese mention heaven, there's a lot to it. So let's revisit this and isko aage dekhte hain, sir. Let's move forward, sir. Now, background में sir, this, you said comprehensive national security, आपने बताया इसके बारे में, 11 12 types, ये वो and all that stuff. But how do you see the build up, as what we've mentioned here? How do you see this build up where he's trying to project any threat to China as the threat to the CCP itself?
Now he is looking at any threat to China is threat to him.
Hmm.
He knows he's antagonized forgets the world. He's antagonized a lot of people within China.
Ji.
If the youth themselves are questioning and such widespread anger against him in the lockdown, where they are asking for him to step down, shows that all is not well, and he needs to nip it in the bud. So while in 2014 and others he created this, and they used to keep having their discussions on that, starting from the national security strategy to creating a national security commission, and under them, which is coming directly under Xi Jinping in the CMC, and under them he has brought all the organs of internal security, all the police, the Ministry of Public Security, Internal Security, everything has now gone out from the state. It's come under this commission and reports directly to Xi Jinping. So while he may have tried to create his animosity towards the US as his constituency within the CPC. But the problem is that, yeah, CPC has just out of he may claim it as 1.25. Last count was 1.4 billion people. Only 85 million, 90 million are members of the CPC.
Hmm.
So while you may make it your political constituency, are the others now buying into that? The first step has already come. They have questioned your actions against India. That why have you done this? Next step will come. They will question their actions against the US. Why are you doing it? That we are paying the penalty for that. So these are the things that he wants. I feel he wants to curb,
Hmm.
and that is why you find in this Congress and the 20th Congress and in this meeting, security has been spoken of so many times.
Because
And the,
see, the
in
concept of
polit-
comprehensive national security जो इसने निकाला था, sir, 2014 he put this out.
yeah,
And this was basically, it took, I mean, I understand it like this. I don't know, sir. I may be horribly wrong, but I'm still going to say it. I understand it. He wanted to basically come up with this concept to kind of realize what his security requirements are. And then when he plotted the graph, he realized, yeah, you can actually, judge other people also with it.
he brought it in to make sure that I feel that to carry further what you're saying is that he has an overarching umbrella under which he could run his anti-corruption drive,
Ji.
and under threat to security he could kick off any of his competitors or who could be his challengers. Everybody gone. That's it. So many generals, so many billions and millions of people, and you don't know where they are. Like his successor earlier was supposed to be Sun Chun Hua, and he
Hmm.
was close to the head of the Joint Staff Department
Yeah.
on Fenga. Just before the 19th Congress, a month or so before the Bohai meeting, they were just arrested and removed, and the charges kept changing. That tells you there is something more to it. Initially on corruption and other things, and then finally on national security. Uh, so it, I, this articulation appears to have been how to make sure for in hindsight, his continuity in rule.
My God. Move forward, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, these were the 16 items that he puts across, sir. And I'll just go to the next slide, which will show to us a little clearly. Political
No,
security.
the previous one is better
Sir,
because it tells you what was given by Tang Xiaoping, Mao, Deng, Chiang Zemin, and who and what has he brought in.
yeah.
The ones in red are what he has brought in. Okay. While Tang Xiaoping spoke of comprehensive national power, this champion brought in comprehensive national security.
I mean, I like the formula on top, sir.
Yeah.
PTM,
And
ye
it is
wo.
all these, na.
Yeah.
While you may say territorial and military security, he would be more concerned about military security
Hmm.
because, and the military means both your PLA and the internal
PAP,
security.
the PAP.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Because unless they are with him on the same page, he won't be able to continue.
control the Chinese. Hmm.
Yeah. So cyber security, so that he controls what comes out, what can come into the cyber domain, what kind of articles and all can be commonly available. Overseas interests, to chalo, who had also brought in, I don't think they are worried about biosecurity. That's just a term that they have given. They are just not bothered about environment. So at the moment they were planning earlier what I would say Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao were doing to take out their plants outside,
Hmm.
which were more dirty. अब तो वो सब खत्म हो गया. Now what do you do? Space security he calls it, but militarization of space. Polar security is that Arctic route that he
Arctic
wants to
trade route.
utilize.
Huh.
Yeah, and deep sea, yes, he has done. They are one of the pioneers on going quite deep and mining minerals.
Yeah.
And they're not, like I said, they're just not bothered about the environment because he'll go anywhere if he wants. Even deep sea environment is another issue that is coming up, and they'll go anywhere. So that is where you find that while his discs are, I would say, international is something which he generates himself.
Hmm.
You see, uh, he is not as strong. He tries to think that he is as strong as the US, that I can create all these revolutions and interfere in various places. He doesn't have that kind of power.
Correct. Correct.
He doesn't have that kind of power. Okay, कॉन्टिनेंटल भी नहीं है उतना भी दम उतना नहीं है and then you try to think that you should be able to do it, so you try to finger, and then when there is a blowback against you, you cry that this is an international risk you are putting. Domestic, yes, there's nothing to say about it, the way he's trying to control everything. So this explains a lot what all was brought.
So let's move forward from this.
Yeah.
Sir, my belief is that कुछ भी करेगा कुर्सी पकड़ने के लिए.
See, the first task is to ensure the continuation of CPC dominance on China.
Hmm.
That is also the primary task that is given to PLA. Rest is separate. The first task is they have to ensure that the Communist Party of China stays in power on mainland China. In short, PRC survives and it doesn't
Hmm.
become an ROC.
ROC. हाँ.
PRC survives.
The the main thing that one can see is that the overseas aspect of it, sir, which is basically not a, as you mentioned, that you're trying to create issues. And today also
No,
there's a big news about this Iran Saudi thing. uh, it's trying to amalgamate overseas issues as part of its own national interest.
well, uh, that as a policy was first time laid down by Hu Jintao.
Mm,
When he gave the four tasks to the PLA, the fourth task was to be able to guard and defend China's expanding interests.
mm,
Okay. Now, as part of that strategy, they were to take on certain ports. Subsequently, the land corridor would also come. That was the heart of whatever the planning was done.
mm,
They would not call these ports as military bases. They were calling it, they have termed it as overseas strategic strong points. In the science of military strategy, that is the term used. Djibouti was the first one which they made. And Djibouti came in under Hu Jintao, not Xi Jinping. Gwadar, they were looking at Hambantota, they were looking at Sitwe, they were also looking at Dukum, and they're looking at a whole lot of ports in the Indo-Pacific, that is along the eastern seaboard of Africa, and of course the South Pacific islands and other places. And uh, they believe in controlling the maritime space by triangulating these bases to be able to respond fast. And the first triangulation they have done is from the Hainan Island to the from the Paracel Island to the Spratlys and Scarborough Shoals. Okay, so Hainan Island के बगल में is the Paracel Islands. The Spratlys has those seven artificial islands, out of which three are the main ones, in which they have placed all their created space for all their assets, rockets and air defense and everything. And Scarborough Shoal is the other one, which will enable them to dominate the South China Sea. Okay. Why are they coming into the Natuna? Natuna Sea, along with the Siam Reap in Cambodia, and if they are able to wrangle a base from Thailand, then they control the Gulf of Thailand. Then you come to Hambantota, they will look very keen on Pyra, which is next to Chittagong, and
Chittagong
Sitwe. So you control the
mouth.
Bay of Bengal. Bay
Mm,
of Bengal. And then on the other side, they were looking at, you had Gwadar, you get to Djibouti, and if you can get Dukum or something else. So the northern Arabian Sea they would control. And then they would look at further south, Mauritius, Seychelles, Madagascar, and other islands to start control. So that is how they were looking at controlling the maritime space, which is in future. That was their long-term plan, slow and steady. Tang Xiaoping's take 100 years. So that was supposed to be slow and steady. And the land corridors would also come with all the
mm.
connectivities that they were planning. This chap is a man in hurry. इसने तो सारा कुछ कच्चा चिट्ठा खोल के रख दिया सामने. See, Jiang and Hu Jintao went in a step-by-step slow manner. हम
And
इतना
quiet
करके दे
manners.
देंगे. Yeah, quietly. When people were worried, they coined the Tangsha, apna Hu Jintao coined the phrase of peaceful rise, harmonious rise. These were to suppress the fears of the West. He came out openly,
इससे
and it,
पंगे उससे
I,
पंगे.
I personally feel it's been a disaster for China. They could have achieved a lot because if they had done quietly and not done anything, even India would not have bothered about them if all these things had not happened. Nothing. You keep the border peaceful, and You would have achieved everything in all the places that you wanted. And then when you played your cards 30, 40 years down the line, then people, you would have achieved what you wanted.
Hmm.
So he's been a man in a hurry. And there's an old English saying, haste makes waste. Like I told last two talks also, all these things in geopolitics and other things takes time. जल्दी नहीं
आराम
होता है,
से।
आराम से करना पड़ता
ये चीज हमको सर, दिस इज अ लेसन आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ अस एज इंडियंस मस्ट टेक. वी आर टू ईगर फॉर थिंग्स टू हैपन इमीडिएटली.
है, जल्दी नहीं होता,
हाँ,
जल्दी
आराम से.
नहीं होता.
बिकॉज जल्दी होगा तो फिर वो उतना ही, जितना जल्दी होगा उतना जल्दी नीचे गिरेगा. इट विल जस्ट.
Whatever way you look at it, look at how Bangladesh was accepted as a nation. The problems had started, and then from March 71, it became a disaster. So many people came, but you prepared yourself. The military prepared itself. The diplomacy prepared itself. As a result, you created a nation which was recognized by the world over immediately. Even that time, your arch enemy, which was Nixon and Kissinger group, who were very anti-India, they also recognized. तो कदम ध्यान से फूक के रखना पड़ता है. Step by step, you have to go. Never be in a hurry.
This is what Xi Jinping said in 2019, sir.
So I would only rephrase our reform is one that will have not Chinese characteristics, it is CPC characteristics. These are not Chinese characteristics. He is destroying the culture of China. He is not working with the culture of China. He is working with his CPC's culture. But if you're saying that universal values, now one of the economic values is capitalism. So it's total capitalism under Communist Party that China has. The only thing you are differing is on the political system. Because if you accept that political system, then the whole purpose that you are there, that CPC has to continue to rule, falls flat. So what he has given this thought has got nothing to do for the benefit of China. It is for the benefit of continued rule of CPC on China, mainland China.
Most importantly. Now, his 10 requirements for pursuing a holistic approach to national security, 2020, sir, he said this.
Yeah.
Of course. But इसके
Upholding
अंदर the most important thing, I think you've covered the rest, but the most important thing, which is number one, upholding the party's absolute leadership over national security work.
you remove party and say Xi Jinping. That's what he's done. What during emergency, some people in Congress to say that India is Indra and Indra is India. He's done the same thing. CPC is Xi Jinping is CPC. So it is his absolute leadership and not the parties. उसने तो अपने पार्टी वालों को ही sideline कर दिया. And he has brought a bunch of amateurs now to the table. क्या कर लेगा? कौन क्या कर लेगा? Now, the man who used to be the main thinker and coin the phrase and do everything, Wan Huning, who'd been there since Jiang Zemin, Hu Jintao, and Xi Jinping ke saath bhi, the great survivor, he's been shifted to as head of the CPPC, which is nothing. Communist Party's political consultative conference. क्या consultative है? उसका head तुम बना दिया उसको. And who is the head of your propaganda now? Kaichi. Kaichi कौन था? तुम्हारा ही साथ में चला है वो.
इसका चीफ ऑफ स्टाफ था ना सर, क्या था वो?
नहीं, वो टिंग शाओजेंग है।
हाँ, ओके।
टिंग शाओ उसको वाइस
वाइस।
प्रीमियर एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कर दिया।
हम्म।
That means he is there as vice premier administration to keep an eye on Li Qiang,
The premier.
the premier. That's why administration is with him. क्या कर रहा है वो? नहीं, शक सबसे है। जावलेजी जो उसका मेन मैन था, चलो उसको बचा के रखा है। लाइक वांकी शान, उसको भी हेड ऑफ एनपीसीसी कर दिया, एनपीसी
NPC.
कर दिया है
हम्म।
कि भाई पीपल वोंट गन फॉर हिम। एट सम पॉइंट इन टाइम उसको भी वाइस प्रेसिडेंट बना देगा, लाइक वांकी शान।
वाओ।
लाइक एंड एक ली जी को लेके आया है कि वो डिसिप्लिन कमिटी में रहेगा।
वो तो पुलिस था ना सर, ही वाज द प्रीवियस पुलिस बॉस ऑफ वन ऑफ दी सिटीज।
तो इसीलिए तो डिसिप्लिन कमिटी में ले आया ना, एंटी करप्शन ड्राइव वो चलाएगा।
हम्म।
दीज आर द पीपल हु आर देयर यार। क्या करोगे तुम, कैसे
चलो,
सरवाइव करोगे?
पीपल के बारे में बात करते हैं सर, उसका तो पूरा एक
हम्म,
सब्जेक्ट होगा इन दिस पर्टिकुलर कॉन्वर्सेशन। बट दिस ग्राफ इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग सर। इसके अंदर दो तीन टाइमलाइन एंड आई वांट यू टू प्लीज कमेंट ऑन दिस सर। सिक्योरिटी था, बट जब 13 एंड 14 में यूक्रेन हुआ सर, you see the spike.
या
You see 18 issues happened. You see 2021 when other issues happened. The but the tipping point I find is Ukraine.
सी यूक्रेन, दैट वाज दैट मैदान रेवोल्यूशन।
जी।
You get worried. See, as a communist party you get worried, as the head of the communist party you get worried. Then 1718, that was the time when he was sacking people left, right, and center within his own party. One person from Hong Kong whom I had interacted in around 17, he had mentioned the period from 15. He had come 18 में आया था. He said between 15 and 18 there were 19 attempts on the life of Xi Jinping.
19.
19.
Wow. Wow.
This was a person who had come from Hong Kong. So but I asked him also. We were having a discussion, a round table discussion when he made this statement. So asked for his proof. He says, I can only tell you this much. And he just gave instances of whenever he said he is very, wants to always be in the news. Almost daily he wants to be in the news. His face has to come. So whenever you find that for almost about 4 or 5 weeks he is not there, or 3 to 5 weeks, he says there has been an attempt on his life, so he's gone underground. And then there will be mass purges that would take place.
Just cycle
जरा सा
one
भी
must.
शक किसी पे पड़ जाता है तो वो पूरा खानदान गायब हो जाता है. And 2021 was the international pressure on him for COVID.
COVID.
Wuhan COVID virus, I call it.
Sir, now starts the game.
Yeah.
You was talking about the changes where he's wanting to get national security internally under his command.
Complete.
Now, he seems to have created new committees which were not there in China before, because China is very, very particular about these committees.
Yeah.
Project reports, this,
Like
that.
I
Very,
said,
very nice about it, sir. But
three new commissions or committees. One is for national security, and all the Ministry of State Security, Ministry of Internal Security, everybody has been pulled out from the state and provinces, and they've been placed under this commission, which reports directly to Xi Jinping. He is the boss. Like earlier, they used to have what is called the leading small groups who controls
Yes.
everything. So this could be something like that, you could say, as a leading small group which looks after internal security. Then while he had already taken away all the economic control from the premier, by the leading small group which looked after economy was headed by him, not Li Keqiang, and he continues to lead that. Now they have created another financial and what is the word they used? Fiscal, Financial and Fiscal Commission,
Acha.
which, amongst others, will have full control on the banks. People are getting worried. Like, if you invest there, you are not able to get your money out. Let's say I invest thousands of dollars in the stock market and buy some shares. I can't sell it and take the money out of China.
Whoa.
They are controlled somewhere. Now he's going to control the banks. And the third thing he has done is he's created Science and Technology Commission and headed by him, and he's going to control everything. Now, would that be a good thing? Instead of letting the scientists do your innovations and new things, you have brought everything under your control. So that is there which he has done. It is not, the goal is not to strengthen the party's control. The goal is to strengthen his control on party and China,
Most
and
critical.
which comes in from insecurity, personal insecurity.
That I agree with, sir. There was an article written by Kazia, who was that Communist
Yeah, yeah,
Party.
who used to be there from China
Yeah.
and went out.
She ran away because she said something about Xi Jinping and they threw her out.
Yeah, yeah, he got
She
after.
wrote that, the rest of the chaps are PhD in this, PhD in that, EAO and all that, and solidly educated people. And this guy is not at all educated. She actually called him a seventh class pass.
See, he his first marriage failed, and the second marriage, I think it was in 87,
With this
85
Major
or
General so called
87. He married a pop star,
pop star and
a
made her a major
celebrity
league
singer,
star.
till he came up suddenly in prominence and became the vice premier, and then he became the boss of China. He was known within the political circles in China as the husband of that celebrity singer. That was his. That would also have impinged on him psychologically. That the politicians themselves, the Communist Party people themselves, used to derogatorily address him as the celebrity singer's husband. So, if a man has had psychological issues and scars through the Cultural Revolution, this kind of thing would also have affected him quite badly. They never thought that he will become like this.
But वो उसको आर्मी
One,
शामी में क्यों डाला हुआ है सर? Why has he put her into the PLA? She wears a
किसको?
uniform, rank, shank, everything, sir.
वो वो तो पहले से ही थी ना. सेलिब्रिटी सिंगर्स तो तभी
She was
बनते
a
हो व्हेन यू
singer.
आर पी पार्ट ऑफ पीएलए.
Hmm.
ऊपर थोड़ी आओगे तुम एनीवेयर इन लाइफ इफ यू आर नॉट पार्ट ऑफ कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी. एंड देन शी बिकेम अ पीएलए. पीएलए हैज देयर entertainment section now. I think she's a two-star general.
Is it entertainment or is it entertainment, sir?
Yeah, entertainment.
Interesting. So, sir, this is an interesting chart where the themes that have been mentioned by Hu Jintao 2011 and Xi Jinping 2021. And the most important thing is, I mean, if you just take rejuvenation, Chinese nation, and national security.
See, rejuvenation and Chinese nation. The rejuvenation of the Chinese nation is his dream. I won't say that it was not their dream. That was always the dream of the Communist Party of China. But he brought it up to a much greater level and a push to achieve this rejuvenation under his command.
Hmm.
So that is why so many times he keeps talking of this. While Hu Jintao spoke about it, because that was always in the back of their mind, that we should become very powerful nation. That had always been the vision. But it was his push that brought attention towards that. And then when he became aggressive, well, we know. And then the last when he made was when people had become very aggressive and social media had become very anti what he had done in Galwan. That is how he made the statement: if someone tries to attempt against the sovereignty and integrity of China, heads will be broken and blood will flow. Is that the kind of language you follow?
I know. I mean, what is he talking about?
Yeah. So that was
And
when he was
reform
addressing the PLA, that's what's the language he used.
and reform is interesting. Hu Jintao said 44 times. This guy said 8 times. So it's reform, sheform, nahi boss.
Yeah, I'm the boss. Hu Jintao and others
Yeah.
were following what Deng Xiaoping had laid down, that loosen the party
Collective leadership.
control more, reform, go for collective leadership. Wherever there was a lot of interference, keep reforming and smooth the process. He's not interested. The reform of 8 times, what he's interested is how to collate everything under me. I,
Yeah.
me, myself.
This is
Yeah.
something I found. A lot of
Yeah.
people say virus is back. कौन सा virus भाई? Virus आ गया वापस.
COVID.
They're not
COVID,
agreeing to it, sir.
COVID.
But
इन्फ्लुएंजा तो बोलोगे तुम यार, कोविड में तो वही तो होता है, तुम्हारा गला खराब होता है, नाक
and testing
बहता
नहीं
है.
कर रहे. Testing नहीं कर रहे. भाग जाओ. No testing.
Will people then, even if he wants to do testing, all those people who were testing earlier are suddenly out of job,
Yeah.
they have not been paid, will they come and do a testing? यार आप बता दो. वो तो बोलेंगे पैसे दो, पहले पिछला भी पैसे दो, एंड दे विल आस्क मनी इन एडवांस, पहले दे दो हमको फिर हम करेंगे. And a lot of them may have gone back to the rural areas for all you know.
And ऊपर से they've got propaganda pieces like the South China Morning Post, the one that we were discussing yesterday. And guys, I'll give you a
That's
slight hint. वो मैंने इसमें डाला नहीं सर. Sorry, actually I forgot. कहता है यार 150 billion we spent on putting vaccinations. ठीक है. And in one province he says I spent 73 billion. Second province he says I spent some 45 billion. Third province he says 30 billion. And fourth province he says 16 billion. If you total that, that is more than 150 billion.
correct. And it is 4 provinces out of 31 provinces that he
31.
has. What about the other provinces?
So South China Morning Post ki jai. That's all. I mean, see, this is what I'm saying. They'll put out, they're putting out not just internal propaganda to control and make this an influencer A or influencer B. But having said that, this thing that I found, it's the CNR, so China News Review. This guy says that there have been 4 levels has been put across. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fourth one is lockdown.
Yeah.
So the virus is back.
Yes. If you're saying lockdown, the virus is back. If you're saying influenza, why go for a lockdown?
Exactly. Or Chinese people are too weak, they can't even take a small, simple cough and
No,
cold.
no. Normal influenza तो
Yes.
हमको तो बोल रहे हैं ना. You have that influenza vaccine.
Yeah.
US, all like my daughter is studying there, and my relatives are there. Every year they take that flu shot.
Flu shot.
तो फ्लू शॉट ले लो एंड मास्क पहनो और चलो.
चलते रहो.
You don't
Abhi
need
ye,
a
so this is what I want to talk to you about. This is what I want to learn about. When you talk about securitization of everything, and this is not my term, this is not some guys written in Washington Post or New York Times or BBC. This is a term that the Chinese themselves talk about, securitization of everything. How does this impact?
See, when you want to, 2 3 things indicates to you. You are securitizing everything to make sure that you are in control
Hmm.
and you stay in power. So you securitize everything, anything which impacts, whether it is an internal issue or an external issue, you say it's a threat to me and the party. How do you manage that? By getting all the security apparatus directly under you. So each and every aspect of life has been securitized. You try to say this is wrong, it's a threat to my security. So that is a very dangerous line which Xi Jinping has taken, I would say, because
Absolutely.
historically, the Chinese people, historically, when you be through the history, they accept a lot of pressures from the ruler. But when a disaster happens, then they come out on the streets against him.
Hmm.
And they
Especially
just
food.
need somebody, some strong person to support them, and
Yeah.
the kings have been overthrown. And the disaster is already there. I really don't know how much they had a famine in the north last year and extreme floods to the south. How
And
much
they
has he, and they, that was under lockdown. How many people have survived? What has he given out to those people? The floods which took place, what kind of support that has been given? I don't find it anything anywhere. What happened? It is exactly what you find. Nothing coming out from Pakistan with that extensive flooding which took place. What happened to the people? Have they gone back? Not gone back? घर बना पाए नहीं बना पाए? Are they still staying in camps? What's happened in the southern flooding in China? What's happened in the extreme drought which they had in the north? No news.
and they still talk about a bumper harvest of some 6.83 million tons of.
I can't hear you.
And they talk about a bumper harvest of 6.83 million tons of rice.
Yes.
Can you not hear me, sir? You can't hear me, sir? Okay, guys, there seems to be some sort of a technical fault. Give me a second. Uh, yeah, thanks, Naveen. I think, yeah, let's just see if Sir can.
I'll just. Can you hear me?
I can.
I'll just look at.
So, guys, by the time Sir figures this out,
Can you hear me?
yes, sir, absolutely loud and clear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I don't think Sir can hear me.
स्पीकर तो फुल है.
No, sir. Okay.
क्या हुआ?
Actually, I know, guys, we both are audible to the audience, but Sir can't hear me. So, I guess just give it a second. वो I think वो headphones में कभी कभार गड़बड़ हो जाता है. We'll get on that. But guys, before that,
No, yaar,
please like.
I can't hear you. There is some technical issue which has come in. Just give me a minute.
So, as I was saying here, please just like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Very, very important that you like this video so that it reaches more people. You will not find a complete detailed analysis something of the Chinese game like anywhere else. Let me assure you this because
Can you
the
hear me? I
yes
I
sir,
really can't hear you now. Something has gone off. I'll just
sir,
switch on my.
one sec.
Yeah.
Guys, sorry about this. Let me just figure this out with sir.
Yeah, Sachin. Yeah, Adi.
Sir, just you know do one thing. आप ये settings में जाके ना sir.
Huh. I'm trying that only.
हाँ, settings में there's a place called audio.
या वही ट्राई
And
कर रहा
there's
हूँ, हर एक में ऑडियो ट्राई कर रहा हूँ, 3 निकले हैं वो
नहीं नहीं,
आ नहीं रहा।
speakers में you have to go to built-in, or else just log out of this, and I'll bring you back in.
ओके, आई जस्ट डू दैट।
Yes. So guys, by the time sir comes back, and very important that as I was saying, please like this video, subscribe, and of course, if you can, do help out the Dev Talks efforts. The QR code is right there in the corner right of the screen, and of course, you can directly contribute to us with that, and you can become a member or send us a super sticker, super chat. I've got just about 4 slides left. Post that, I'm going to open it out for you guys for questions and answers. As usual, this is a nice detailed session, so that it's very interesting and very understandable to a huge section of the audience, so that we can all be participative and understand the entire perspective, not just the 2 sessions. The 2 sessions is something that we will now start talking about in the next few slides. And sir is back, so let's see. Sir, can you hear me?
या लाउड एंड क्लियर। वो सडनली आई
Perfect.
ट्राइड एवरीथिंग, बंद हो गया। आई डोंट नो
नहीं
व्हाट
सर, वो
हैपेंड।
क्या है ना, हम लोग कभी कभार चाइना को थोड़ा ज्यादा बोल देते हैं, वो चाइना अटैक कर देता है. So let's go forward. Yeah, let's go forward.
That is
Uh,
the problem of securitizing everything. It
हाँ.
again shows his own internal fears.
Sir, see this, and I'm not joking. I mean, I'm honestly not joking. This has happened too many times. It does not happen when I talk about Pakistan. It only happens when I talk about China.
डर
So
लगता
anyway,
है उनको।
let's move forward, sir.
या लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड।
Sir, this now I just want to spend 2 minutes. Of course, you've spoken about it. Global Security Index that he had come up, and Global Development Initiative. Now he's come up with a global security initiative where he gave this thing about the Ukraine peace plan,
See, the
and of course
first,
the latest
no, the
foray into the
Global
Middle East.
Security Initiative came last year,
G.
much, not last year, towards the end of 2021.
Hmm.
Where suddenly he tried to be a goody two shoes and say that this is what we will be. This was just before the Ukraine war started.
G.
But the first sentence itself, to ensure security of international borders and all agreements, तुमने कौन सा फॉलो किया है यार? That's where it falls flat. Now, when you come to the resolution points that he gave, I think 8 or 10 points that he gave,
10 points.
all
हाँ जी.
bakwas yaar. Sovereignty and integrity. तुमने कौन सा sovereignty integrity follow किया है? You are trying to go back to ancient history borders यार. The world has moved on. World has moved on. You can't keep asking for the same borders. Then the British Empire will ask for their borders. Russian Empire will ask for their borders. Or every empire will ask for their borders. Then where will the world go? So coming from them, कि भी ये है, I felt it a scream that nothing is valuable is going to come out of it. So, and global development initiative. Now, the global development initiative is just a new. They're very fond of using new terms and
हाँ.
anagrams to push their narrative. Global is whatever he was propagating, that follow us and you will be a modern. You will develop. Now that has fallen flat. Your own economy has gone down the drain. Now the world, everyone whom you were looking at, Africa where you want to go in, the South Pacific and all these islands where you want to go in, they're desperate for support. Whom have you reached out to? Saudi Arabia, उसको पैसे की जरूरत है. So ठीक है यार, अपना अपना निकालते हैं. State sovereignty is the sovereignty of the CPC. Regime stability is the stability of Xi Jinping. Collective security is what the Romans used to have, that all the vassal states are there for the security of the Roman Empire.
Home. Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why there was a statement there, no, all roads lead to Rome. So here all roads would lead to Beijing.
Now the two sessions.
The most important is what you put in that. So let me explain. Through the history of China, like we used to have also in our ancient times, that the king or the emperor had a divine right to rule. That was in ancient times. Chinese have always followed that the ruler has the right from the heavens
Hmm.
to control what they called as the middle kingdom or all under the heaven, which the other term they use is Tianxia, which is all under the heaven. That means the heaven has permitted you to rule. And with Li Keqiang making a statement, a telling statement in his speech when he was handing over to Li Qiang, that the heavens are watching. Heavens have eyes and they are watching. It was a direct threat to Xi Jinping that your days are numbered. It was a direct threat. And that is why the term heavens are watching. People would not understand unless you have understood the history of China and where this term comes from. It's a very, very, very telling statement. And Xi Jinping didn't have the strength, moral courage to even look him in the eye if you see the video.
हाँ ऐसे है हाथ हिला के just
Yeah. How do you? One of the stories going around is that Hu Jintao had been told by Xi Jinping a lie that the Chinese Youth League people would be well accommodated in the Politburo and the Standing Committee and all the other places. So he was attempting to open that file to see that who has been allocated what, which was not permitted, because that was a lie. There's nobody from the Chinese Youth League there. So
but rest pretty much. I mean, there's loads of other points that have come out, but I find them to be pretty same. There's a huge hawa which is being created.
yeah, but I would twist this word which he said, dance with the wolves, Chingang, which he has said, Chingang. He had said when jackals and
Yeah, yeah, I've
wolves
got that. So we'll go forward, sir. We'll go
dance
forward.
with the wolves.
We'll go
Yeah.
forward. Chingang says urges Asia to not go for growth, not power games. Point one,
So
and
obviously, yeah, people will go for growth. Now you are not contributing to the growth. Which country's growth have you contributed towards? And
Pakistani,
when
sir.
jackals and wolves are in power and attack, Chinese diplomats must dance with the wolves. Are you a jackal? Are you calling your Chinese people who are attacking Xi Jinping's leadership as jackals? So,
Or is this a veiled response to Li Keqiang, sir?
नहीं ही चिंगांग क्या response देगा यार?
बहुत बच्चा है.
When jackals and wolves are in power and attack, so he's trying to differentiate that jackals and wolves are in power and they are attacking. So you dance with the wolves and attack the jackals. He's not completed the sentence. You dance with the wolves to protect the home and country and attack the jackals. Now, the threat, the way he has internalized everything within himself, that means there is a threat to your security. So, are you telling that the jackals are the people of China who are attacking you? So, you will protect yourself from the wolves outside and get after the jackals.
Exactly.
Let's see what he means.
Take lead in opposing threats to one country, two systems. Sir, jitne bhi statements, the amount of statements that have come out from these two sessions, and again, people have not picked up on this. They've picked up on that 53, 33 mentions of
नहीं
security and
नहीं,
all that.
कितना झूठ बोलोगे तुम यार। कौन सा वन कंट्री टू सिस्टम छोड़ रखा है? हांगकांग को तो पूरा एक ही सिस्टम कर दिया तुमने। वेयर इज
Exactly.
द टू सिस्टम? एंड आई वुड से दैट व्हेन यू आर टेलिंग हांगकांग टू इनोवेट, मीन जुगाड़ करो।
बच्चों किसी तरह से, मुझे
या
नहीं पता, I
करो
want you bloody
जुगाड़।
together. That's it.
सो
Correct.
दैट्स व्हाट यू आर डूइंग, आस्किंग देम कि जुगाड़ करो यार, कुछ भी करो, अपना प्रॉब्लम खुद सॉल्व करो। And you destroyed Hong Kong's economy at one point in time. When they took over Hong Kong province had the best performing economy in the whole of the provinces of China. It, by the time the problem took place, it had come down to number 8. अभी पता नहीं क्या बचा होगा Hong Kong का।
Last two slides, sir.
Yeah,
One is this: Beijing's preoccupation with threats, real or perceived, will continue to shape its domestic and international behavior, especially as increased geopolitical tensions from the West and government and businesses face a China that is more willing to accept economic costs to defend its stability and broad understanding of national security, including through economic coercion. And this is something that you have brought out already.
बिल्कुल यार। देखो, firstly, they are very clear that after seeing of all what is happening of regime change in various places, that something is amiss in the manner in which so many people had erupted in so many cities, not just for COVID lockdown, against Xi Jinping himself. So he is, that is how it has shaped his domestic policy, where he has concentrated everything in his. Wolf warriors didn't work, so he is looking at how to compete with the US. He doesn't have answers at the moment. वांग यी को इसीलिए अपने पास बैठा रखा है कि उसके साथ डिस्कस कर लेगा। नाउ चाइना, यू सी, वैसे एज दे से वाट लगी हुई है, पीपल आर हैविंग प्रॉब्लम्स, बट यू हैव इंक्रीज्ड योर डिफेंस स्पेंडिंग, which tells you that whatever be the cost, he is going to and defend its stability. That means military and internal security will get the biggest chunk of the budget. And there are hidden costs. When I told you 5.7 and 5.5, there are hidden costs which is not covered. So when you read CIPRI and other things, they do a detailed analysis and tell you what are the hidden costs that are not there. Like the revenue expenditure, pays, pensions, it's not covered in that, in their budgeting. So similar is the case in internal security. So a bulk of the budget is going there. And he will
Correct.
continue to do that. Because simple cheese, you know, Mao said, power flows from the barrel of the gun. He has to keep them happy, otherwise they'll get after him. Economic coercion he has always been doing. There's nothing new. That's
That's the
how he
game.
coerced Djibouti to take that base. They coerced Pakistan. They handed over Gwadar. They coerced Sri Lanka to take over Hambantota. They coerced
Pakistan.
Myanmar to take over that Kyakpu port. So wherever he is able to coerce, Cambodia तो वैसे ही उसके ऊपर totally dependent है, Siam Reap उसने ले लिया उससे. So, and you look at what is happening in the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea,
Micronesia.
where he is throwing money and had done a regime change. The Prime Minister who was anti, उसको तो अभी बात भी नहीं करने दे रहे कोई भी politician.
माइक्रोनेशिया के प्रेसिडेंट ने चिट्ठी लिखी है ना सर?
Yeah, so it is a known thing that geo-economic coercion वो करता है, so it's nothing new that he is going to do. But for geo-economic coercion, you need that kind of money. छोटे आइलैंड को तो थोड़ा पैसा चाहिए, बाकी बड़े कंट्रीज को कैसे कर सकते हो?
जी.
You're not able to do it. Now you look at what has happened in Nepal. You are very happy that woman, that lady who's their ambassador out there, brought about both the factions of CPI-ML together. अब वो faction टूट गया. Faction टूट गया and that's gone. Now do you have that kind of money to pay them?
No.
Yeah, we are worried. The railway line and all is still on, but that's still some way away. You can still work it out because
15
so
साल.
economic coercion portion he needs money, and that is the reason why I think he has put in that financial commission to get control of the banks to be able to take out money. And people will be worried because their savings are getting going to get hit. So their I believe their saving percentages are falling. People don't trust the banks.
Bloody hell.
What
Okay,
happened
that's a.
last year in Hainan and Henan and all, where tanks were brought out to protect the
Hmm.
banks? People have lost faith in the banks.
That's a big telling statement. So, along with this one that I want to discuss, do people actually brief Xi Jinping properly?
कैसे उसी के चमचे हैं यार, यसमैन है तो वो यसमैन तो उसी को वही बोलेगा what he likes to hear, because if he tells him something what he doesn't like, then is not just him and his family, his whole extended family and any friends or relatives and others of their friends also, they all disappear.
I mean, the most embarrassing was this balloon gate because it seems, and this is what the news says, that Xi Jinping had actually reclused himself from a lot of work. He Blinken के साथ ढंग से बात करनी है मेरे को and all that, prepare. And this balloon gate happened. So basically, a lot of people are saying he didn't even know that they भेजा था किसी ने.
I have no trust in this report that he reclused himself for preparation of. क्या बात कर रहे हो यार, बंदा जो सब कुछ अपने अंदर कंट्रोल कर लिया, he will delegate to somebody else. What is people talking? सांस लेने के लिए भी आगे चल के वो परमिशन ले लेगा तुमसे कि तुम सांस नहीं ले सकते. क्या बोल
17
रहे हो यार?
committees of
Nothing
security.
moves in China without, and especially a balloon gate which has gone to US, and he will not know. क्या बोल रहे हो यार? वो तो कवर अप कर रहा है ब्लिंकन उसको कि ना, they may not have known. Nonsense यार.
That's the point. So is this now? See, ये बड़ा funny है sir. Why would the Americans cover for the Chinese in that aspect of it?
Maybe they know a lot about his psychological profile. You see, you make your psychological and other profiles of all the leaders who are going to be opposite you. A lot of the intelligence's times are spent in collecting and collating data to make a psychological profile to be able to predict what kind of reactions can you expect from such a person. So I'm sure they would have done it for Xi Jinping. So they want to cover up
This is exactly
and
what
see
the
how
Chinese are
his
doing.
reaction will be.
Chinese are doing for Modi. They call him what? Modi Liaosing or something.
Whatever.
Hmm.
अब वो उनको डर लगा हुआ है ना, because they found a very strong leader here, so they were.
थोड़े सवाल जवाब कर लेते हैं सर.
Yeah.
Naveen, thank you so much for your contribution. General sir, China seems to be flying high in international media fresh off the KSA Iran deal. How much importance do you assign to this, and can it embolden Xi Jinping to become bullish on Taiwan?
Naveen, thank you. Interesting question. But please remember, it was a meeting at NSA level of both sides. It was not foreign ministers meeting. So when they talk that they will open their embassies, I don't think NSA controls opening of meetings.
Even if they do, they had their embassies open 6 years ago. So
Yeah, so ठीक है, अभी NSA जाके brief करेगा, and then those people will take a call. What is to be done, what is not to be done, how to go forward. We don't know what exactly was there in the memorandum. Hush hush hai because Saudi Arabia and Iran had involved hai. तो ठीक है, but it was NSA level. So our NSA also went to US and other places. ठीक है. It is when if the foreign ministers had met, then it would have been something different.
yeah.
Bullish on Taiwan, I don't think so at the moment.
So Taiwanese internet cables cut. Is US abandoning Taiwan? China is already in the Solomons. I know you feel very strongly about this, sir.
Yeah, Taiwanese cables were cut, but you have to remember where, right next to mainland China. If you
Yes.
go back and listen to what I had mentioned when we had done a talk on this same platform on will China attack India, and I had discussed and the red lines of China, where I had discussed the median line laid down by the Americans themselves as far back as 55, and they abide by that. So anything on the other side of median line, the Chinese can do. Now these islands, Matsu Island, where he has cut the both the cables, are right across the median line, right next to the mainland China. ऊपर से Matsu, there is one more set, and Kingman नीचे. So China is in Solomons. They have been attempting. Let's see. अभी तो see, this is the game of Weichi. So they did something, didn't work out. So now they have shown their card in Solomon Islands. Wait for the opponent's move now. I'm sure the most affected are the Americans, New Zealand, and Australia. The
Australia.
Americans, because if Chinese gain control in the South Pacific island and base overseas strategic strong point वहाँ बना देता है, तो the Guam base, which is northwest of Hawaii, gets turned because they come onto the flank and the
Yeah.
Pacific opens up. Okay, so the Americans won't leave it so easily. Remember, Shankar, I had mentioned in most of my talks, आराम से होता है यहाँ काम, overnight नहीं होता है. The Chinese tried 4-5 years ago, they failed. Now they have come.
They've come again.
They have come again. So again, something or the other will happen.
And abhi to unki जा रही है ना. Tsai Ing-wen is supposed to go to US, so there's going to be another whole new tantrum that will be thrown for that. Adi, a quick question for General, very interesting question. So, General Sir is talking about internal revolution, etc. What is the level of weaponization, especially because General Sir gave the reference of the 6th January example?
No, 6th January was a people's movement. I'm not talking of weapons. It is just that whatever type of people you may call them, they gathered together and were able to reach the capital. And that's the big fear. What kind of weapon? Internal revolution, I have always said that you got to break the PLA. If the PLA breaks and somebody supports the people, that's the end of Xi Jinping and his coterie. So that is why he will keep spending more and more on defense and less towards the people. His threat is the PLA and the PAP. They have to be with him always.
So people always look at the India angles. A chilling presentation on Xi Jinping's mindset when implied on us. That means Xi will attempt more mischief on the LAC. Should we give the power to shoot from distance to our soldiers to deter the Chinese PLA?
Why do you want to? He tried it in Yangtze, has been deterred. सोशल मीडिया में काफ़ी नेगेटिव आ गया है. Will he do it? He has understood that he is not going to succeed against you. That is why he comes for you to loosen your guard. He is coming to talk कि नहीं border solve कर देंगे, let's carry on. It's not carrying on. India has drawn the line and said you go back to what it was in April 2020. उसके पहले कोई बातचीत नहीं होगी तुम्हारे साथ किसी चीज पे. Shoot from a distance. Why do you want to open a war? Are you ready to open a war? Because एक बार when you give out orders to shoot, clear how it is going to pan out, escalation control becomes difficult.
Difficult.
How it is going to pan out. Are you ready for a war? Do you want a war? Last time he surprised us in Galwan when he brought those clubs and all. We also went with our hockey sticks and whatever and took their clubs. This time in Yangtze and all these places, you have prepared everything. Much worse than what he has, with built-in tasers and everything. So now he has to do something more. What is he going to do? So मिस्चिफ ऑन LAC थोड़ा बहुत कहीं ना कहीं कोशिश तो करेगा वो. अब कुत्ते की दुम है, वो टेढ़ी तो टेढ़ी रहेगी. Can't change ना. You can't expect Xi Jinping to change. वो उसके फितरत में है. You can't change.
When the Chinese say Western heaven, it means India.
हम तो उसके साउथ वेस्ट हैं यार. वेस्टर्न हेवन तो सेंट्रल एशिया होना चाहिए. उनके उनका पूरा कंपस ही डिस है. हम तो साउथ वेस्ट हैं. हम कौन सा उसके वेस्ट में. और इफ ही सेज तिब्बत इज हिज, तो हम साउथ है. हम वेस्ट कहाँ है. वेस्ट तो उसका सेंट्रल एशिया है.
Bumper harvest means all agricultural land in Africa and South America, sir. Your view on it?
Yes, bumper harvest. When he says, I don't, I take whatever he says with a tub of salt, not just a pinch of salt. Africa, yes, but can he get anything out of Africa today when they are facing, they are themselves facing such food shortages? Let him try. आग लग जाएगी लोगों में. They'll burn the Chinese down out there. He can't take it out. South America is also going through such tenuous times. How will he get it out? That is the whole issue. Will it be permitted? He may have the land, but he doesn't hold the control the transportation.
I don't agree with this statement, sir, but I'm still going to put it out. India might have already put large orders of weapons from China if Galwan hadn't happened. Even security forces uniforms were being
वो तो चल ही
imported
रहा
from
है यार. गलवान का जो import orders we were already reducing. The reduction in import has been in place since 2014. Let me tell you, put it on the table. And DPP 2016 was very clear when they brought in the paragraph on strategic partnerships. And the
partnerships.
push for Make in India was there. Now the push priority one is designed, developed, and made in India. Your own design, your own development. Like the biggest success at the moment is the loitering munition that we have, Palm 400. कभी पढ़ लेना उसको. It is designed, developed, made in India. Okay. So import to whatever was to be bought, we were already buying. Galwan didn't have an impact that we reduced import. Security forces uniform has never been imported from China, South Korea. I really don't know. At least I can't say for the CAPFs. Ours are designed and made internally in the ordnance factories.
Ordnance factories.
Okay. And we had the biggest grouse that the same thing used to be made by the CAPFs, and it was available in the common streets. Today, the latest design which has come out is not available in the open market at all. Has been refused. It is made internally and distributed to the military.
That's it. Sir, even if Xi Jinping is ousted from power, there's no guarantee that a person replacing him would change the current system.
You never know.
It can go both ways.
The cat, actually, to a certain extent, you're correct, because the cat is out of the bag. Whatever strategy they were quietly following, unfortunately, Xi Jinping has brought it out in the open. So whoever replaces Xi Jinping, even when he is ousted from power, I don't think he is going to be ousted from power in a hurry unless the PLA breaks. I'll stick my neck out. I'll stick my neck out. I don't see him getting ousted from power till he dies. He's your next Mao Zedong, unless somebody comes up to throw him out literally from within the party. Okay. No, whenever that happens, the person who is going to come, for him to change the system, firstly, he is going to do is he may start reducing the controls. But what is the mid-course correction? Is there going to be a change in strategy? Is it going to be a change from all under the heaven that everything is going to be done for the benefit of China to like what we are saying Vasudeva Kutumbakam for the benefit of the world. I don't see that happening. So the whatever change is going to do will be for the same strategy, maybe extend it further and modify it as a mid-course correction to mellow down so that people's guards are down. But in a certain way, you would be right that major changes they need a thinker like Tang Xiaoping to lay down a strategy.
I mean,
So
uh,
Tang Xiaoping gave out the strategy how to go about doing it. Xi Jinping violated that, and you're facing the penalty. Now somebody comes, will he be as competent as Tang Xiaoping? It's open to question. To generate a new strategy for their rejuvenation, how do you go about doing it?
so, and the last questions of this, I mean, I must say, tongue eyes are open. A lot of interesting concepts have come out. China is a weak power from economic perspectives. If China had to go through an expulsion from the international payment system, would they be able to survive like Russia?
Mark, interesting. I won't say they're a weak power from the economic perspective because the West needs him as much, at least in the near to medium term, as much as they want for their survival. They don't have factories. Like US may say make in America, but where are the factories? Where's the trained manpower? You don't have it because you dished everything out to China. It's nice to talk of decoupling. How do you do the decoupling? You got to set up the complete infrastructure in those countries where you want to decouple and go. That takes time and that takes money. So that is number one. So while China is going down economically because of their own issues, if he can reduce his dependence on the PLA and increase the funding towards people and other issues, he may find a better way to modify his economy. But his economy is like a behind a lead wall. You can't see what is this economy that he's propagating. You can't depend on any figures that he says. But
And
that's the way
you
it
have
stands.
you've actually taken this up in a video
Yeah.
with
Now
us.
the
Yes.
other issue about international financial system. Will the West has learnt its lesson from Ukraine. They bit the nose to bite the face, and now they have permitting people to circumvent all the sanctions that the Russians they place Russia on the Russian oil and other things. Because their dependencies are their minerals and so many things they depend on fertilizers. They're permitting all that. No? Now, if you look at China, can they throw them out from the international financial institutions? They can't. 40% of UN institutions are controlled by Chinese money. यार
China money. Yeah.
तुम्हारा तो UN ही बैठ जाएगा. One of the reasons China says that they created these new banks, that Asia Investment and Infrastructure Bank and the New Development Bank under the BRICS, is because despite giving more money to the IMF and World Bank, they were not getting equitable vote share. The West still controlled the vote share, while as the Chinese was giving more money than, say, the French, Germans, or the Brits. But they had a greater vote share than the Chinese. That means their vote carried more weightage than a Chinese vote. Now, can they survive? So it's a hypothetical question. If you remove China, your whole Western institution starts collapsing. One of the reasons why they brought China into the WTO, despite they don't follow any norms of the WTO, was so that they could set up their factories and make a killing. So they're still making a killing from those factories, which they won't from other countries. Who will take them out? So I don't think they will remove China from the institutions, because now they are so deeply embroiled with them. Maybe medium to long term, I can't say. If the decoupling continues and medium to long term tak nikal jata hai, then they may get after China, and then China won't survive.
Sir, since you mentioned this, I was reading something in the morning. I'm just going to put this little thing up so
Yeah.
that just to this thing. Yao Yang, the dean of the National School of Development at the prestigious Peking University, repeats his blunt argument that a pillar of the official Chinese ideology is out of date and must change. He also said that one of the biggest challenges for the Communist Party of China is the tension between theory and practice.
See, there is no theory of communism that they are following. Okay. So China is not a communist country. It is a country ruled by a capitalist country ruled by a communist party. For that, we have to be clear, because in a communist state, from womb to tomb, you're looked after. The moment your mother conceives you, till you die and you're buried, all your needs, basic needs, are looked after. Home, food, clothing, education, sub
Good old Soviet Union.
funded by the state. In China today, from womb to tomb, you got to pay for everything. तो कौन सा communism बात कर रहा है वो? Communism with Chinese characteristics. Whom is he fooling? There is no communism. It is capitalism with communist party characteristics. कि कैपिटलिज्म होगा बट मैं कंट्रोल करूंगा सब कुछ.
Sir, I must say, मजा आ जाता है आपके साथ बात करके, and I am sure the close to 200 people that we had on this discussion have felt the same way. There's just so much more to discuss, but there isn't the time of day to kind of go through
Yeah.
in one presentation. And China is something that you and I will keep on discussing in the future as well, so it's not
Yes.
going anywhere else.
Yes. Yes.
The two sessions and stuff like that is being made big, and of course, this whole deal with Iran has been made big. There are certain geopolitical impacts of this, which, just as a side note, guys, I'll try and discuss this on a solo program this evening. But let's see what exactly happens. As said, it's an NSA level thing. We'll analyze what the impact could be and stuff like that. Anyways, coming back to this one, sir, this was a mind-boggling episode. Let me show you this, because there's certain concepts of history that one cannot relate to until and unless you actually know it. And guys, if I may say this, one of the first few episodes of myself and General Nine were on the history of China, the modern history of China, if I may. Please, please, please get to those. And trust me, if today I am at a, I won't say starter level even, I'm at probably 1 inch lifted up my leg onto understanding the ladders of China is based on those episodes. Because once you get that understanding of history, you read a little bit here and there and stuff like that, then थोड़ा समझ में आना शुरू होता है कि what are they actually talking about. you know Li Keqiang saying heavens have eyes and stuff like that. Hindustan, India में भी बोलते हैं, we also say that ऊपर वाला देख रहा है, but in China it means completely different, as sir explained to us. So there's a lot of context that goes into what the Chinese say and how to understand that. Sir, thank you so much as always for helping us out.
Always a pleasure to be on your show, Adi.
Thank you,
Always.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
God
Guys,
bless. Bye bye.
Jai Hind.